Hello and welcome to our October HubSpot user group. Today we are going to tackle all things content and also using AI right inside your HubSpot account. Today we are joined by Kate Radley, the head of marketing for Gro Clinics internationally here in Australia and also in New Zealand. She has been instrumental in not only building up the company to where it is today, but also expanding the footprint into different countries. Gro Clinics is instrumental for hair transplants for men and also for females as well, with a bunch of locations around Australia. So I thought it'd be fitting to bring Kate into this discussion more so because it's clinical, but also at the same time, it's a big education piece when it comes around to content. And it'd be great to pick her brain in regards to what she's doing, and maybe you guys can get inspired too. So welcome, Kate. How you doing?
Yeah, good. How you doing?
Good. Just so I guess everyone can get a bit of background on you, do you want to give us a bit of an idea of what you've been up to for the last couple of years and kind of what you do day to day at Gro?
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined Gro just over 3 years ago as a part-time graphic designer and then marketing manager and now head of marketing. So we're a pretty small marketing team there, generally no more than like 3-4 full-time employees. We have 7 locations across Australia and New Zealand. So lots of clinics, lots of clients, lots of content that's got to be done. So we've got, you know, the 3 different facets of the business, and but I guess a big part of that is it is one business and one service. So trying to piece that all together to market to the audience and utilize that content as best we can.
Nice. And we take it you use HubSpot, but when you first started at Gro, what was your experience with HubSpot?
I actually did not have any HubSpot experience at all. So Gro at the time when I started there was actually on Salesforce and Pardot. And then we moved over to HubSpot for marketing. And then we enlisted Neighborhood to help us kind of figure all of that out.
And I thought it'd be fitting to bring Kate in here mainly because we were having a discussion with her, and I think that, as I mentioned before, a whole lot of content needs to go out in order to educate, because I think based on our experience with you, it's really about educating the people who are looking for, a hand transplant or specific everyday products. And it's not just an overnight decision, it's a long drag, I assume.
Absolutely. And I guess like with the education of our clients, it's like when they're trying to find someone to help them with the problem that like we can solve, they're researching to find the solution. So providing them with content that can like inform them of the right choice and help them like go through that process, whether it's starting with like the telehealth medication or the hair transplant, whatever point in the journey, making sure that content's like valid and providing them the information they need.
So we are going to contextualize Kate's strategy and how she's been managed to capture. How many people do you reckon you've got? How many eyeballs across Australia? It's a lot.
Yeah, I think...
I've seen some numbers. It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
So I guess for context, I wanted to bring what Kate has put together in all channels of content, and this is image, video, email, paid, all this sort of stuff, and try to contextualize it to the new tools that have just been brought out so that got announced at Inbound 24. We've obviously got Breeze Intelligence, we've obviously got a lot of the AI tools, Content-Remix, AI within each of the prospecting tool. And I guess for me it's fairly new, so I don't know if not everyone's got full grasp on how it can be used and day to day, but I think contextually using how that could affect your day to day, and then try to, I guess, give you people out there a bit more of an idea and inspiration on how you could use it for your everyday. One thing I kind of wanted to, I think, talk about is the transplant side of things, because I think if you don't know about it, it sounds real hectic.
It does, yeah, cool.
But it's not. So to get some context around the content, putting together a content plan, etc. Let's really deep dive into, I guess, the bread and butter of what Gro Clinics is. And it's a bit of a hectic term when you say the word hair transplant. It literally sounds like you're skinning someone's head and putting it back on someone else. But I think this is there's a lot of different types of opinions about how things work. And I guess this is key to what you do for content specifically. Maybe in a few words, could you maybe explain that whole scary transplant word, just so that I guess everyone knows what we're talking about moving forward.
It does sound a lot more hectic than the actual procedure is. It's like a one-day procedure. We have our clients come in, essentially get to lay down, watch a bit of Netflix. Our doctors and our care team take the hair follicles from the back of the head where they're a bit more tolerant to DHT, and then they take them out. You have a little lunch break, chill for a bit. Then our team sorts the hair follicles into how many hairs there are in the follicle, and then you come back in, face up for a while, and then we pop your hairs back in the top, and then that's really about it. I'm making something the doctors probably aren't going to love how simple that explanation is, but
so if I'm getting it right, so they'll take like hair from around here, individually sort of take the hair, like the hair follicle out, and then pop it where it's not growing.
Precisely.
There you go.
Yeah, where there isn't a hair, pop another one back in.
And so that grows perfectly
it grows,
normal?
So essentially, like, we'll pop them in, and then, it's your own natural hair. So once it's been transplanted there, it can take 9 to 12 months for it to like really come back. You go through like a bit of a shedding stage where the hair, naturally hair falls out, grows back. And then, by about 12 months, it's pretty undetectable. So it just looks like you've got a full head of hair again.
Understanding that, understanding the concerns, understanding all of the misconceptions that are out there, even things going down to doing it in Australia other than doing it overseas, because I'm sure it's popped up into someone's TikTok every couple of times.
Definitely.
So I guess when you're attacking the content side of things and sort of putting the AI side of things together, what is I guess when you sort of sat down originally to work out, all right, what we need to do, or you got given the directed, we need more leads. How, this is going to be a wide question. But where did your brain first go to in regards to what to do and then what to create specifically?
I think for me, it was absolutely starting with analysing why people weren't having hair transplants, I guess, or why they weren't doing it here, or maybe what was scaring them off about it, or what misinformation was being shared, and then kind of addressing those most common questions. So I guess for some people, the actual procedure, is it do I have to be knocked out? How much time do I have to be off work? Getting that content together and then putting that aside. And then, okay, so why would people not have it done here in Australia? Well, because they could go overseas. And then addressing the risks associated with doing something like a medical procedure overseas. And then just kind of informing them and educating them that it's not this big, scary thing, and that we can do it here for you where it's nice and safe. And then coming up with how we actually get that to people. So finding out the questions that people want answered, and then distributing it to them, obviously in a way that makes sense to them, and on a platform that's relevant. If something is super visual, like a hair transplant, that before and after is really visual. So that content, that visual content, is the best way to kind of explain it. And being able to produce that and then share it on relevant platforms was a bit of a thing. And what kind of content are you guys creating at the moment, from a channel standpoint? Well, so when we started, it's something that at the time people didn't maybe necessarily want to talk about or share that they'd had done, which made it really, really hard. So to start with, we actually put together this photo shoot where we asked a heap of our beautiful clients to come and join us for a day and share their stories and kind of let us know how it impacted them. It's something that we hear a lot, is that procedure can have a pretty big impact on how people feel and perceive themselves. And I really wanted to share that piece of value.
So instead of talking about the procedure, you more sort of spoke about
how it made them
feel.
And I think that education piece is definitely the first part of sharing what we do, but then the second part is that emotional impact that it has on people. So we got them all together. We had this awesome little photo shoot. We shot a bunch of video content, photo content, and their stories and stuff. So then essentially we took that content and we had to make a platform relevant. So we had to cut it down for Instagram. We had to cut it down for TikTok. We had to have full YouTube videos and short YouTube videos, and we wanted content on the landing pages and content back up on the website, and it all had to be quite relevant, and the blogs that came off the back of that. So it was a lot to kind of produce from just that one.
How long do you reckon it took your team from the end of the shoot through to It's probably not finished yet, but it's never finished.
It's never finished, but that one shoot took us over 6 months to distribute, like everywhere that we wanted it to be. And even now we're still kind of like digging and trying like to kind of mix it up a bit and make sure that we're using the best of it, I guess. Something like a content shoot like that is a pretty heavy investment, but so you really want to make sure like you're getting the most value out of it.
What do you think that like when you were going through, what was the restrictor essentially for like the distribution? Was it just like cutting the content down, creating the content, putting everything together? Like what was restricting you from maybe getting that 6 months down to sort of maybe 3 months? Just the sheer volume?
The volume, but honestly, we haven't had an in-house copywriter or a copywriter on our team for about 2.5 years. So it was essentially me writing all of the copy, and it's never been my strong suit. And also I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I'd write a whole page or a whole blog or a whole like a whole landing page and then hate it. And then have to kind of rework that into like social media copy without like really repeating myself saying the exact same thing, especially when it's coming to like the landing pages or website content where you don't want to be reusing the same copy. Like it's a bit of a no-no for like SEO and stuff. You don't want to have that duplicate content, so you've got to make it different every time, and that's a lot of work. I
could imagine that it would be a heap of work.
Heap of work.
Was this pre-AI? No, what was this, 4 years ago? How long ago was it?
It was about
I want to say pre-AI was only 4 years ago, but like mainstream.
It was pre-mainstream AI. It was pre-mainstream AI.
It's when AI wasn't great.
It wasn't as great, and I think at the time I didn't know how to use it as well as I knew now. Like that was my first foray into using something like ChatGPT, where I was literally on TikTok, like writing down prompts that people on TikTok would say, like, "Hey, put this into ChatGPT," and then it will spit you out like more questions, and then answer those. So even like utilizing that, like I hadn't figured it out yet, and it was still like developing. Yeah.
Well, obviously then HubSpot's come out this year with the whole Breeze AI side of things, and I think it'd be good, and you recently were in Sydney for the
HubSpot Connect.
The HubSpot Connect conference as well, which obviously covered abundance of these sort of tools and sort of spoke about them contextually as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things in my, like, since having started to use Copilot and Breeze AI and HubSpot in the last couple of weeks, one really big difference that I have noticed that I know is going to save me and all of our teams within the business that use HubSpot heaps of time is the fact that it's like pulling from your data. Like ChatGPT is not. You feed it a heap of stuff and you say, remember this about me, but it just doesn't all the time. Like it just forgets, and you have to be like, not that, please.
Do you have sometimes when it just completely randomizes like another conversation that you've got? Like, and you're like, hang on, where did that come from?
Exactly. Or like in the exact same chat, I'll be like, don't forget this important piece of information, and it'll be like,
sweet,
I've forgotten. And I found like with Breeze, it's looking at our relevant data. Like it's looking what's within our system and like actually utilizing
So essentially you've taken, I guess, what you had from ChatGPT, but sort of, would you say that you're starting to sort of dip down and using that holistically or altogether?
Breeze AI? Yeah, definitely. I think also the fact that it's just like in the platform and right there.
You don't have to click away.
Is so handy, and like the Copilot feature I've found myself using a lot for some things where I'm like, I don't know how to do this, tell me how to do it really quickly. Obviously super relevant platform information. Quickly generate me a report when someone's like, hey Kate, how many numbers has it been this month? And I'm like, great question.
Yeah.
It just tells me. Yeah, it's great.
So okay, with those use cases, can you tell us some of the ones that you might use day to day or you've been using that you're pretty surprised with? I mean, the one just sort of like pulling out numbers, like if you know someone above you is like, hey, how many leads or what was the open rate holistically across this time period, you can just throw it in there and ask.
So this is such a coincidence. At the HubSpot Connect event, at the end of the day, I think it was like 3:00 in the afternoon, they'd gone through everything and showed us all. I was like, wow, this was wonderful. Hadn't had my laptop out, was taking notes, and then I get a message on my phone from Manuel, who's our head of finance, and he had to put together a report, and he was like, hey, can you like get these numbers for me? And I was like,
I just learned something.
I'm just going to whip open my laptop, copy paste what he'd asked for into it, and then I was like, here you go, done, amazing. Yeah.
And what kind of numbers was he asking for?
So he was looking for like contacts created every month per region. So obviously, like we have like various different clinics. Our budget for marketing is essentially split based on the capacity of those clinics.
Yeah.
So we have separate ad campaigns, so they pull into different regions, and we keep track of the contacts created per location.
And so you didn't use a report, it just told you straight up?
No, I just asked it, and it just said, here you go. And then it was like, cool. And then I can like put that prompt in to create an actual report. So that's like the next thing that I found really handy, is going into the reports and typing out what I want it to tell me. That's been pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, especially like as much as like I've definitely learned a lot about HubSpot, I still rely on like you guys so much, and like Sophie to help me with reports sometimes, because we have a lot of that custom data. And
because the AI is only a single object reporting, so it only really does contacts or deals. It won't go how many contacts and deals were associated. So yeah.
But even on like the custom properties and stuff, I've found like it just can find those things better than I can, faster than I can.
Yeah. Are you so I guess we're just getting sort of CRM data specifically. Is there any other things that you've kind of uncovered or used? The answer can be no too, because that's like, I think that is a really good one, because like often I think everybody gets thrown, hey, what is this?
Yeah.
And there is the initial wall of, I've got to go into the reporting tool and I've just got to start from start, but you could use the AI tool to throw it in there. But if it's a multi-object report, you're
it's like, okay,
I don't want to do this. So you could just jump in
and tell it to
and ask it, and it gives it to you straight away.
Yeah, it's been really, really handy for things like that. And then I guess another part, which is a little bit different, is the like still on Copilot, and like how it speeds up the process for our teams a bit more, is I guess analyzing the like information that we have on a contact to like draft a more like custom outreach message that has the information that they've provided us in like a form submission or something. Yeah.
Or context to an email or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Summarizing, love that.
Yeah.
Wonderful feature.
That's a good idea. So from so we sort of spoke around sort of high level look using Copilot to sort of like pull out data.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that's kind of come through is, I guess, some of the agents, but also some of the AI tools that have kind of worked across them all.
Yeah.
The one that I've probably gas bagged on a lot, and mind you, should be a link somewhere or in the chat about the HubSpot how-to on using the contentremix tool, which is I've kind of gas bagged on a lot about.
Love it.
Have you sort of tried any of those content creation or content altering AI tools inside HubSpot of late? One
of the ones that I'm really excited to try that I saw at the HubSpot Connect event was like the blog writer, essentially, and it looked pretty awesome, and I'm really keen to give that a go, especially someone who doesn't have like a full-time copywriter. Yeah. And
so that blog tool, it's probably up on the screen right now, the process and a video and kind of running through how to use it. But from what I remember is that it's sort of more of a step-by-step asking questions, talking about tone of voice, and sort of just trying to craft a little bit, not just being sort of super generic.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's trying to get context.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think like, the ability to kind of correct it as well, and like it learning from that is pretty neat.
Yeah, I will always say, and if you haven't heard me on my how-to videos as well, is that the AI tools should always get you to a point and never ever publish.
Yeah.
Never publish the content. People are going to know straight up that it's like published content.
Yeah.
But I think in your aspect, like you probably being in medical need to be extra careful, but also the expediting the research factor on like certain percentile and certain facts that you can kind of bring in and double check with the medical team.
Back it up, get like, I think that's like being able to like reach out to our medical director and be like, can you fact check this? It's like really handy. But for me, like it really helps me start like the flow of writing. And yeah, we do work within like a lot of different restrictions and regulations 100%. For the content that we produce visually and written. So yeah, everything always has to be double checked and rewritten a lot of the time. And I think like adding that, something I like have learned recently is like moving towards like the EEAT style of like content.
What did you say?
Where like they want like a personal opinion or like a human input or like human experience. You can still absolutely input that into something that's been at least drafted for you, and you've got a place to start, which saves so much time. I'm
kind of addicted to the TikTok channels that sort of give you the prompts and they sort of say, hey,
do this.
One of the ones that are actually completely off topic, where you basically prompt, and this could happen with Copilot as well, but you prompt it by saying, hey, I'm going to give you a bunch of information.
Yeah.
This is the one I really like. And it says, I want you to ask me questions until you're 90% sure you know the scope or you know exactly what's expected of what my output needs to be.
Yeah.
And so what will happen is when I put that prompt in and then obviously put the content, it'll then come back and just fire questions to help get a better idea of exactly like what the output's going to be. And it asks questions that you kind of semi-forget to put in there as well. So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
You expect the AI would just know what you know, but clearly it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a feature that I think will definitely like speed up any marketing team's capacity to create content.
Yeah. Another thing I'd like to bring up is HubSpot acquired a company called Clearbit last year, I think it was, and people might be familiar with the Insights tool, more so for B2B, but you can get other sort of specific information. One of the things that got released was the data enrichment tool within HubSpot. So all in short, and what I thought when I first heard about it was it's sort of like Zoom info. So like, you know, if we go ahead and want to find out information like of people that work at neighborhood or people that work at different ones, we go to Zoom info and it should have some information there. It's not always accurate. The Breeze Intelligence tool specifically, it has data there. So it's not to give you email addresses and find people, but it's to enrich the data that it has. So for example, say Johnny Blogs has signed up essentially to go and get a hair transplant. And you want to know some extra context. There's credits. I'll put a link in the chat, but also there'll be a link in the description for those watching afterwards for more context around this. But it can enrich the data that it has on file too. So for example, say Johnny Blogs is johnnyblogs@gmail.com, whatever it might be. Any information that they have on him, you can then enrich the form. So if he's going ahead and filling out what's your city, what's your location, what's your postcode, you know, I don't think it goes down to date of birth, etc. But there'll be a photo on the screen at the moment of the enrichment data fields that you can go. For a credit or for a couple of credits, you can go ahead and pre-fill out those information, which essentially might be, so you know how you're asking like 10 questions in a form?
Yeah.
The actual form will only show 4, and it won't show the enriched elements of it as well. So if you're wanting to go ahead and convert more people quicker, obviously people love filling out 4 questions instead of 10, but also at the same time as well, people might not answer those specific questions. So it's fairly new. I think us as partners haven't necessarily got the opportunity to go play with it yet, go find the bugs, give our honest advice about it. But if it's something that you kind of wanted to look at and that's something that you do lean on, I think definitely check out the link. But there's something on the screen, hopefully just before or now, that kind of steps through that sort of process too. So that got released at Inbound 24 as well, but I'm sure it will develop into, I think they are sunsetting the HubSpot Insights tool, which is for B2B clients, giving you all that information. Not always 100% correct. Apparently there's 55 people that work here. But not 100% correct as well. So one of the things I think you mentioned as well before was, I guess, using the blog tool, and you kind of spoke about it stepping you through. Now, in the past, we'd go to the blog, we'd click on create a new post, and then we'd sort of start moving. If you were using AI, you'd probably sort of start writing it in ChatGPT or Sonnet or whatever you might be using.
Yeah.
But you were sort of saying now developing blogs in HubSpot is probably going to be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe we could just share the screen a little bit and show the guys step by step how to create that blog specifically.
Yeah.
And then, if anyone's got any questions, comments, or in the chat beside, wherever the chat is. Might be this side, who knows. So I guess when you come into the blog area now, are you able to talk us through, I guess, the changes that have kind of happened within, the blog area now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a lot easier to kind of get started. Have a vague idea in mind of what you're going to do and then start with AI. So
sweet as, we'll do this.
We'll go through this.
Here we go.
Nice. So you got your topic or your idea. I think, again, this is like where I would have started my process with ChatGPT, but without the prompt, and just kind of brain dumping the general gist of what I wanted to do before I kind of refined it. So I guess we would say, what do we want our topic to be about? Probably.
I've prepared something earlier.
That's amazing.
Here.
Look at that.
There you go. So I think what I wrote here, just for context, for having Kate here, I want to write an article about hair transplants in Australia. I'd like to focus on a few key topics or points to help the reader understand the journey in making a decision. I sort of want to cover safety, timeline, process, recovery, pricing, and maybe potentially frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
And I sort of said overall, I kind of want to communicate and educate the reader to ensure they have a clear idea of the process and the intricacies as well.
Yeah.
So.
And I think a really good part, or a really good, starting point to this to maybe add with like any sort of blog is addressing like the question that maybe they would answer.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where we go down to those keywords part. So this is a really neat feature that I heard about at HubSpot Connect, that it's actually got SEMrush built into this tool. So it's going to give you the difficulty for ranking and the keyword search volume too. So I guess you can kind of I imagine you can kind of come back to this too if you get to the next step and decide that maybe that that keyword's too hard to rank for, or the search volume is too narrow maybe. You can try a different one.
Hair Transplant Australia is going to be pretty tough, I assume.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah, okay.
We'll find out together. Hair Transplant Australia, and then there we go. Selecting our country. Nice.
So what's going on? Is this the SEMrush thing that you were talking about?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going on here. And then we've got our options for titles. And then, we've got our difficulty ranking, search volume, and the keywords over there. So what would you pick there, Trav? Hair Transplant Australia Comprehensive Guide?
Oh, yeah, so MSV, monthly search volume, I assume. I'm going to guess this one. There you go. Nailed it. Difficulty rank, I'd say 100's the hardest.
Yeah.
And then 0 is the easiest.
Yep.
So I'm going to click on this button here so I can. So they're giving me a bunch of blog titles that I can use.
Yep.
And this one's pretty good. So this one here, the intent here is commercial intent. So users want to do research before making a purchase.
Sounds pretty good.
Kind of seems like it's in the ballpark of what we want. But there's a few informational ones here too. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that our informational, if we look at the funnel, is going to be a bit more higher, where our commercial is probably going to be a bit more lower in the funnel because people know what they want to sort of, so it's going to be a bit more conducive to, hey, get in touch, we can help you out.
Lower down that awareness stage.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here? What do you reckon?
Ooh, should we go?
Let's go pointy, I reckon.
All right, let's do it.
So let's, we'll go, which one? Well, they're both the same, aren't they? Which one are you feeling? Understanding hair transplant procedures in Australia kind of makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, I like that title.
Sweet as. Then we're going to go review the outline. So take us through what all these pretty colours mean. Beautiful.
There we go. All right, so we've got our description, discover everything you need to know. Yep, love it.
I'm going to say that I reckon AI-generated images are a little bit questionable.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not a fan of it, especially in like the medical space. We certainly don't like use any at Gro.
Yep.
We don't want to mislead anyone. Could be great for someone else.
Yep.
Not a huge fan for mine. All right, cool. And then we've got our...
We'll leave it in there so we can have a laugh.
We'll see how it looks.
Yeah.
And then we've got our paragraph headers. Cool. So
these are the talking points, why choose. So this is kind of used AI to sort of do this all together. So transplant step by step.
Yep.
Safety, recovery, and understanding the cost to make a informed decision. So that's kind of bringing in those dot points I mentioned. So safety, process.
Yep.
Why. So, all right. And then is there anything you'd add there?
I think that's, like it says, pretty comprehensive.
Sweet. Hopefully.
See what it comes up with.
All right. So this is the first time I've used this too. So I'm interested to see the effectiveness of how this kind of works.
Yeah.
I was expecting a couple of minutes there. That was
fast.
I'll be honest with you, that image that I can see is not that bad.
That's a jovial looking fella.
I was expecting there's a big chin on him too.
But get it. Must be nice.
Why? All right, so let's have a look at what we got here. So obviously this is our test account with the man with the biggest chin and teeth in the world, but great set of hair.
Great set of hair.
Great head of hair. All right. Discover everything you need to know why choose a hair transplant. Is fast becoming a global hub for transplant procedures, a good reason. Both state-of-the-art medical facilities. All right, so we're doing the step-by-step guide.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, it talks about FUE and FUT, which for those playing at home are the different types of ways that they extract hair, I assume.
Yep, that's correct.
The extraction part for me actually made me think that.
Yep. That's, I mean, you bang on with that there. I guess something that I would, need to like change for Gro is like I can see some words in there that we wouldn't technically use, or like we use our own type of like method, which is like, I guess we're the only ones that do it, so we're the only ones that talk about it online. So this is where I would kind of then go in with my own prompts about, I want you to explain our method to the people there and why like there's benefits to that. But yeah, it's all looking really quite good.
The only thing I would say is that this is the world's shortest blog I've ever seen.
It's really short, I think, and again, like coming into 2024 where, Google is penalizing people for like just using AI, really got to throw in that like lived experience, opinion piece, like that human aspect too, but plenty of room for that.
A lot of room.
Yeah, heaps of room. Yeah.
So I can see here just with Copilot too, where we've got the ability to apply a brand voice,
expand,
rewrite, expand, shorten, change the tone, something else maybe. Who knows?
Love that.
Well, let's just try and expand that because I did say that it was a bit short. All right, so so this is the Copilot that you mentioned.
Yep,
so this is always kind of kicking to the right-hand side of the page.
Yep. I'm a big fan of Copilot so far.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so so this is way more media.
Yeah.
So if we go here and we go replace, that's gone ahead and replaced it. I will say that if you guys are using the brand voice, did I see a Z in here? Yes, I did. I saw a Z. The Z. The Americanized. I have a hawk on it. Whenever I see Z, I'm like, you've used ChatGPT for this. I believe if you do apply the brand voice, or it is coming, something will pop up on the screen that we'll do this in post, but something will pop up with the confirmation of it. It will sort of change to make sure responses aren't Americanized.
Yeah,
and
cool.
I often, when using any large language models, is always say, do it in British English to make sure all the words are spelt properly and we're using the same sort of language.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gone ahead and expanded that out. I'm going to try something. There's another Z. All right, I'm still in my head in now. But I'm going to go ahead and just be a little bit and see if I can't as well maybe expand this again for the world's longest blog on one certain topic. And so the one thing that you probably opened my eyes out to is that you can use Copilot anywhere.
Yeah.
So like in here, I could ask questions about the blog, but I could also ask questions about anything in the CRM.
Your audience.
I could ask, it's kind of like ChatGPT essentially in here, but everything in your CRM.
Yep, it's with your data.
Gotcha.
And I think that's the really cool part about it.
Ooh. Did I?
I mean, for Gro, we have like everything linked into our HubSpot, our ad accounts, obviously our website, our landing pages, our conversations, our calls, because we use air calls. So, I mean, it has all of the information about the people that we want to target.
Yeah, great.
Right within the platform. So
one thing Chloe from behind the camera said through her experience through using Copilot, and it just did get released. So let's not try and like get too harp too much on it, but obviously they'll develop, the team over in Boston will develop it so that it becomes better every single day. But Chloe is just sort of saying if you ask it to move or to slightly change something up from how it's said, it doesn't necessarily sway too much. It sort of sticks with what it sort of initially sort of generated. Am I right in saying that, Chloe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like with, I guess those, like I mentioned, those additional, initial outreach emails earlier, putting the same prompt into ChatGPT and Breeze, I think obviously Breeze needs to learn a bit more about I haven't actually set up our brand tone yet in there.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see when we do how that like more conversational bit of content it produces comes out.
I mean, talking about brand voice as well, it's probably a good idea. I've brought up here that it's applied our brand voice to this article, and I think in another demo video that I've done here, I've kind of stepped through it a little bit. But for those playing at home, I think if you go to the cog and then go over to account defaults and then go to branding, and you'll see this brand voice in beta. Now, one of the things that did come out that I will flag is that, and this was a bit of a bugbear, is that some channels that we have different voices. So our social is fairly casual, but if you kind of think about how we speak on Instagram than it is to LinkedIn, we're probably a little bit more pointier rather than being sort of casual.
Yeah.
I think everybody's like that, to be honest with you. But the new updates that they had when they came out in inbound was that you can have channel specific settings. So you can go down here and you can basically use different tones of voice as well, specific. So social here, we can use a different tone of voice and then individualize each of the channels that we've got there so that when we are using AI to generate specific content, we can kind of like change the brand voice a little bit more. Yeah. So that was one sort of thing that they brought out. I will say that you sort of in these areas for like terms to avoid and which will be very good for you.
Relevant for me, super relevant. Yeah.
But also try to maximize this area and spend a lot of time on it. Like try to use all of the words that you can, because I think that, as I said in the videos that I've recorded for the how-tos around AI, is that the more info that it has, the more it has to work with as well. So again, to get here, you go up to the cog, go over to account defaults, go over to branding, and then go over to brand voice, and you guys should see this new area as well. This is new, I haven't seen this before as well, sort of neutral nouns and
very cool.
Gender stuff as well. So one of the other tools, and I'm not going to go through it specifically now, is the contentremix tool. There is a link in the chat, there's also a link in the description below, and maybe at the top if you're on YouTube as well, of a how-to. We spent maybe 15 to 20 minutes stepping through the tool, so and how to use it, and basically sort of stepping through it. So that I'm not digging into it now, if you wanted to bookmark it or click it anywhere that it is on the screen at the moment, we go through that in complete detail as well. But the one thing I kind of wanted to do to wrap up today, I guess for you specifically, Kate, is that for the last 4 years, was it 4?
3.
3.
3 bit.
For the last 3 years, I guess you have been, kind of like a workhorse, you kind of completely rebranded Gro, mind you.
Did.
Completely rebranded Gro. The content strategy, the content that's created, I guess you have sort of done it, the old school way.
Very old school way.
Yeah. So I guess now that we've kind of touched on some of the tools that are available to us, and they are early days, I will say that.
Yeah.
Is that I guess as a marketing manager and sort of that having to push a lot of content out. Like,
yeah.
Where can you see the opportunities, and what should people out there see as the opportunities for the tools to use? And say, for example, somebody's like on the fence on, hey, I want to give it a go. What's some advice that you would kind of give them based on what you know and what you've experienced?
Yeah, so I think we did do it the old school way. We did a complete rebrand with a really small marketing team. And it took a lot of time. In like 2024, where things are like constantly updating and people kind of expect like a fresh style of content like every 6 months, every year, it can be really difficult to churn that out. But I guess especially like if you do just have a small in-house marketing team with like these features, if one of the team has like a really cool idea of how we can like lightly refresh our style still within like the brand guidelines, or produce like a new style of content, like you can just ask it to do that. We want to update our brand tone because we don't think it's maybe like resonating as much. Then we can go and like tweak it and then rewrite that content or reproduce that visual content with like just a lot more efficiency. And it gives us like, I guess, more time to be more creative and like coming up and testing more ideas rather than just coming up with an idea and slogging to churn that out manually.
I think it's like reporting, like these dashboard reports is like, I think going into, especially using this AI, like I think sometimes, and I'm a stickler for it, is that when you go into this stuff, you go, oh, I'm going to play with the tools, I'm going to play with it.
Yeah.
And then 3 hours have gone past and you're like, well, what am I gone?
Yeah.
I think you've got to go in with an intent. And if you are in the early stages of like trying out these tools and wanting to give it a go, and maybe you've asked HubSpot to give you a trial of the tools to use, go in with like, okay, I want to create
this
5 pieces of content.
Yeah.
And they need to be, let's just say if you're using the blog tool, 5 pieces of content, they need to be 3,000 words.
Yeah.
And I'm going in with a purpose.
Set a goal.
I think that will be beneficial for everybody rather than, like these reports I've got behind me, I have spent hundreds of hours in there. Oh, I didn't know this could do this. I didn't know I could play with this. I could do this. And then I'm like, I haven't got anything.
Nothing.
Yeah. So what made me, and I think trying to have my experience here is to go in with like, this is my output.
Yeah.
And I think that way you'll probably become, no one's going to be an expert at using these, but I think that at the end of that 5 articles or something,
you'll have something,
but you'll also kind of be able to sort of start understanding its weaknesses and its strengths as well.
Yeah, and how to accommodate for those next time.
So wrap it up. I think, what is the one tool that I guess you are frothing?
Copilot. Yeah, I'm really loving that. It's just got so much versatility.
Yeah.
It's just so I'm lazy. I'm a lazy girl.
Yeah.
It's just right there.
Here.
It's with me everywhere in HubSpot. Love it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
It knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Kate. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
You guys can find out about Gro Clinics on the website below, groclinics.com.au, and follow their socials. It'll also be down here as well. Keep an eye out for all the work that Kate and her team do in regards to getting some, obviously, the word out there and more of an educational stance as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I will say that the AI tools are super, well, not super new, but they're super new to a lot of platforms as well. So if it's not 100% perfect, that's the point.
Don't give up.
Yeah, I think just try to use it as a tool to expedite what you do day to day. It shouldn't replace, but at the same time, I think HubSpot and the team are going to be developing and enhancing and getting a lot of that feedback to make it better and better every single day.
Yeah.
But thanks heaps, Kate.
Thank you.
Shout out for the next hug that we've got. Actually, we're joined not by Mark Zuckerberg, but the dude that he works with. We're joined by the guys at Meta, actually. So Meta are going to be joining us to discuss the new enhancements with the conversion API. C API, CAPI, if you want to call it that. So if you are using Meta at the moment, you are using it for paid channels and you are pumping those leads into HubSpot, you should join that as well. So it's going to be on the 14th of November and you can join us. It's free to sign up. If you can't make it, make sure you give us your email address and we'll shoot you the recording afterwards. And to wrap up 2024, If you are looking to get into 2025 with your account in order and all of the cobwebs blown out and all your crappy data, all your duplicates, all of the stuff that you haven't used, we're basically in December, we're going to be running through how to audit your account and what to look out for. This is going to be a good step-by-step guide if you currently want to look at your account and what is going well and not going well, what the best practices are for auditing your account, and so that you can get into 2025 with a pristine account. Cool. All right, that wraps up our HubSpot user group. Thanks again, Kate.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next month. Thank you very much.
Cheers.